Starting lineup: Aatrox, Diana, Irelia, Ezreal, Lux up against illaoi, Nocturne, Lux, Jinx, Xerath. Rating of the picks for a casual game: Aatrox as a top, 10. Diana in the jungle, 2. Irelia as a mid, 9. Ezreal as a shooter, 9. Lux in support, 6. Nocturne in the jungle, 9. Lux as a mid, 9. Jinx as a shooter, 5. Xerath in support, 5. Diving into Aloy's mechanics to break her down, not to play her. Because understanding your enemy is the first step to victory. Studying Aloy so I can teach others to dismantle her. And there is no better way to counter her than to know her playbook. Learning Aloy isn't about mastering her. It's to make sure that she never catches me and my team off guard again. Moving on. This play gives away a lot of the fundamental factors in this game, along with the outcome. Take baby steps, analyze the game, everybody can see the same thing. One team cares, the other team does not care. Dysfunctional bottom lane for the blue team. People who are selfish. They're not worried about anybody else. Diana, who is already inherently a losing champion as far as I've ever seen, is now all alone. You get exceptionally poor mechanical skill from this Xerath player. Not one ability is used successfully here. Xerath is a hyper destruction machine, all out offense, and you get zero output out of all of that offensive capacity. We have Lux immediately, of course, creating panic in this Diana with light binding. And as a jungler main myself, I can tell you, if this is the intro experience for this Nocturne player, and he learns that the game functions in this way, then he's not gonna last long. Because this is as much help as I have ever seen, and definitely not what you should be expecting on average. If you're going in expecting this kind of contribution, you're really going to be disappointed with the jungler role. We have Lux here with the abilities in rapid succession. Yeah, and the minds of some people just work a little faster than those of other people. And if you can do that on Jinx, then you can dominate on any champion. Because you're using a very mediocre, suboptimal kit here to do amazing things. Breaking every piece down here, you see her using up some of her mana by going switcheroo to the bazooka. The bazooka allows her range. Once she notices that the health has been sufficiently depleted, she uses the stun pistol and then finishes her off with her ultimate, which is an execution skill and has damage based on the percentage of missing health. Meaning effectively that Jinx's ultimate is only really functional when you're using it as an execute. And this is a lot like watching an advanced quantum physicist starve and die like a beggar, in the sense that you get a tremendous waste of talent here. If you have this kind of skill when Xerath, your partner, is sabotaging you by not using his abilities and not thanking for you in any way, and you have as limited and as pathetic a kit as Jinx, and you are able to do this, please don't waste yourself on Jinx like this. Please don't waste yourself. Please go play Tristana. Please go play Galio. Please, for the love of... You have Nocturne jumping in here with Paranoia. This is a strange usage of Paranoia since you're right next to a tower, so you're gonna waste all the additional beneficial effects. The bushes, using the bushes chaotically in the middle of a fight can be very good because it's possible to get the enemy player to mess up his coordination and misclick, That's why the bushes are good. However, this is patently insane. You've clearly been spotted, you're right next to them, and you're going in the bushes, and you hope that they won't see you. What on earth? I've never done things like this in my life. I don't understand them. When you know that they can obviously see you, go away to your fountain. Retreat up the lane. Why on earth would you try to go into the bushes here and pretend like they don't see you? See Zerat finally paying the price for not using one of his abilities. Kind of a little bit egregious. We're getting to the point in the game where if he would have founded his buttons at random, he would have probably been able to produce more. Because yeah, you have to actually use your character in order to thrive. Like, you can't just hold auto attack down and then just go. I mean, this isn't Diablo, this isn't RuneScape. You actually have to use your abilities. We see at the beginning of this play this Nocturne begging for help on the dragon again. By itself, there is nothing wrong with expecting your team to collaborate. But again, if this is your pattern of expectation, I feel like a lot of people start jungler and then quit it because of that. Like, you cannot just cry every time that you don't immediately get assistance. You should definitely recommend people to play together and to work on the objectives together. But if you're gonna demand that they hold your hand, you're gonna have a really rough time. Ezreal in this play as well, mainly auto-attacking his way through it, and a lot of skill shots being missed here by this Lux player. It's odd how you frequently see that from people with great skill, like this Jinx player, just offering himself up like he wants to die. Like, you got like 5% health left here. What are you doing? What are you doing? It's almost like he wanted to give the enemy a freebie or something. Speaking of freebies, have you ever seen this? You wanna hand somebody a little present. Wow, got it handed right back right there. Here we have Irelia with the brilliant notion of maybe at 2%, 3% health, going down to help out in a team fight on the dragon. What the hell? Like, I wouldn't do that probably if I was at 50% health. What did you think was going to happen? What did you think was going to happen? That triggers Jinx because it's more beneficial when you're in group to give all your kills to Jinx because she gets a passive out of it, let's get excited, and then turns her temporarily into a monster. It's not at all impressive in the long term, but in the short term it will ravage everything in its vicinity. Utterly pathetic here on this Nocturne player who just keeps crying out for all sorts of things, signaling that we're missing and whatnot, just crying the whole time, and then other people, the shooter here, have to manage the dragon and make sure that it doesn't get stolen, because this jungler is not paying any attention. And then it's up to Jinx, who has no tools in her kit that we get the dragon buff. This Jinx player had a high amount of brain activity. And so on Team Blue you have two players sticking together, Diana and Irelia, and everybody else does not give an S. And that is how you lose games. Zerat finally uses an ability, but of course fires at the dragon. In this case that is 4 against 2, but it's one person who only has 4% life left. So it's practically 4 against 1. So good luck winning that on Diana. Here we have this Jinx with a pathetic little stun pistol and some backwards mines, who is literally rooting and freezing everything in place like something that you've never seen. Please play a different champion and please play competitively. Please. Ezreal here finally decides to help somebody out, probably from guild. So yeah, you can choose between flashing in and using Arcane Shift here as Ezreal. Most mobile shooter in the game. Apparently, as I've just learned, a boy. Apparently. Never noticed that he was a boy. That would explain why they're never putting him in hot skirts or anything. Once an enemy is hit with Mystic Shot, the cooldown of Ezreal's abilities is reduced, which means that you can really start shifting around, effectively blinking around with that arcane shift. So what is the main problem here is that you have Irelia gobbling up all the experience and she's back at the base. And you're running up a level 9 shooter against a level 12 Lux here. You have Diana, and every time I see Diana, what is now being produced? What was now? I mean, what that's the thing with Diana. Every single time, I just can't tell what she's doing. Okay, you did a thing now there, but what happened? The person didn't slow, the person didn't lose a lot of health. Nothing happened. It's just always the same. She just flails at people, but nothing happens. Like Magikarp from Pokemon. It's a very interesting attitude to have as Nocturne, to start running like a little girl until this Lux comes and helps you. Would not mind never playing with this Nocturne player again. Not the greatest of men. Forever the light binding from Lux. It creates a lot of panic because it just lasts an eternity. And yet again, you get 2 billion people helping this Nocturne out to get the dragon down. Hooray! Zerat finally found an ability that was on his bar. And now he's using his ultimate. These two shooters, Zerat and Jinx, and so it's actually a 4-on-2 fight even though Zerat and Jinx are not in the proximity. This Jinx player in the top 3 hardest playing people I've ever seen. You're gonna turn Jinx into a long range assist? Really? Really? Oh boy. Taking a look at the scoreboard here. And we are fortunate enough to see the second day in a row that I am the only person with defensive items, so I'll put that up on the screen. We see here something that you should never ever 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 do. We see this Aatrox player, and for whatever reason, the greatness of Aatrox always has to be destroyed by extremely stupid build patterns. You should never start putting together an item and then in the middle of it go to another item, because that is what is happening here. This is the beginning of Warmog. This is the beginning of Thornmail. This is the beginning of Cyrilda's Grudge. This is not a good way to do things. You should work on one thing, finish it before you move on. We have here brilliant item choices. You had 3,451 gold earned, and for that you bought a refillable potion and shoes. You really are all getting this from the exact same guide, are you not? Like, I don't disagree with this, although Trinity lost a lot in power, but this is like copy-paste the entire time for every single Ezreal player. The problem with all of this is that you're not doing it because you want to counter specific issues in the game or because you want to elevate your playstyle. Instead, you're just doing it because somebody else was doing it. That's the problem with this. We see Jinx here receiving a couple of free ones down at the Drake's Nest. That's why I always say, go help out your jungler. You never know what could fall off of the table for you. It's a win-win. And a productive Jinx player, you make my day.
que brochet. Shock. They must be tested to grow. To live is to fight. We know your truth. We do not fear you. You speak of having a soul. It was never yours. None of them were. The vortex is over. Life is too short for fear. Life is the sweetness of fruit and the joy of battle. Min live, min die. Reality is brutal. We are born knowing what to do. We must only act. Your soul drowns. Fight! You stagnated. Babru Lahaji. All is not of Ekun. It is not what we have, it is what we can throw away.
First blood.
is ripe for battle. Many gods ask for worship. They are weak gods. They will learn, or they will die. Wisdom is frequently articulated. Good? Evil? Why do we care for such things? My god is not love. It is a kick in the pants. This is the first lesson.
An enemy has been slain.
The ocean is calm. It is our desires that stir. All is motion.
An ally has been slain.
This is a great.
Shut down.
Desire.
Enemy double kill.
Motion is all. I value truth.
soon fall. An enemy has been slain.
I love only
Double kill.
they break too easily. It is terrible to be satisfied. The world needs us to chase dreams.
Your team has destroyed a turret. Killing spree.
Ends one of two ways. They run, or I flee. Bearded lady, Nagake Boros, names don't matter. Action does. Shine! This will be a good day if you leave.
An enemy has been slain.
Many die. Worthy souls fight.
Has destroyed a turret. Rampage. Double kill.
Sight and sense. Ahoy Baru. Galileo. Shiv. Only what lives has value.
Shut down.
Now we begin.
An enemy has been slain.
The waves will drag you down unless you fight to shore.
Your team has destroyed a turret.
Not in motion. enjoy it. If I watch something, I take it. All that
An
lives.
enemy has been slain. An enemy has been slain. An enemy has been slain.
Even if I die on mission. We are not one soul. We are many.
Your team has destroyed a turret.